Hey everybody, it's Dr. Mac here. Just wanted to do a wrap up of Module 2 where we looked at literary elements and then do a quick overview of Module 3. So, looking at the lesson plans that have come in so far, your slide decks, we're really getting to some awesome ideas in the classroom. You guys are explicitly defining your examples, you're providing models, and you're bringing in texts from real life. One of the common problems that I see, and this happens every time I teach this lesson, it's kind of one of the takeaways I want you to come away from, is that there are many different objectives in a standard. And you don't teach an entire standard in one lesson in kindergarten. Those are end of the grade level expectations. So if you go through my comments that I've left each of you in Slack or in the Lit channel overall, I think you can see that what I would like you to do is just choose one literary element. Like, don't try to teach character, setting, plot all in one lesson. It's okay just to say, oh, we're going to do characters and to identify, describe what is a character, talk about characters from popular culture, bring in characters from some of the books that they're reading. You wouldn't cover all of the elements in a kindergarten lesson on literary elements right away. But I think your writing, in terms of your literary reflections, are getting much stronger. Most of you are still just summarizing each reading, doing one paragraph per reading, like reading 1, reading 2, reading 3. And that's okay, that's acceptable. But I want you to strive for more. Like, what is some kind of opinion that you can make and then integrate all 3 readings into that to support your ideas? You make a claim and you provide evidence from the readings. That's really what I want to push you forward. Other issues I think we're having is I still need to see more kind of general chatter throughout the week in the each module's channel. People still aren't kind of hanging out and talking to each other. Yes, you're leaving comments in the blogs, and kudos for that. We always need more comments, but try to get some conversations going. I'm throwing question prompts, other people are throwing question prompts, and I think that's going to become even more critical as we start to look into Module 3. So looking at Module 3, we're exploring literacies and worldviews. We're trying to find voices that are maybe hidden in the curriculum or that are overshadowed by the curriculum and lost, and understanding where can we find new voices in children's literature. First, we're going to read about a piece by Frank Serafini, who looks at postmodern perspectives of children's literature and how you can bring in critical literacies into children's literature. Next is a piece by Alfred Tatum on how do we get African American males to engage more in reading. Jacob McWilliams argues for doing more queer work in our school, and Valerie Strauss gives some examples of why the Common Core State Standards, especially Appendix B, is a disadvantage to some of our students of color because it just doesn't really represent who they are. In terms of your tasks, we are going to be reading some difficult topics. So if there are some issues that you may not agree with, like say, queering our schools, or specifically trying to target greater instruction to African American males, that's okay. The world has diverse perspectives. People are allowed to be wrong. And what you can look at is just creating a space where we can have dialogue. And if there's anything that makes you too uncomfortable to write about, please remember you can always make posts private. Each post can be private, and you do not have to share them with the class. That's totally up to you. All right, so you do have to do 2 of the 4s for annotations. And most importantly, remember to listen to each other. And let's get some discussion going in our chat room this module, all right? It's okay, like, post questions, answer questions, ask questions. Your next task is to write a blog post on your reaction to the reading, like normal. Then you also need to find me 2 to 3 examples of complex literacy practices that aren't recognized in schools. I mean, something that, what we count as literacy in school may not be what counts as literacy in a children's life. So look for 2 to 3 examples of literacy outside of school. Your participation task. We're going to start the reading pathway. This is what, remember, in this children's literature class, you're going to read a bunch of children's literature books. So what you have to do is get together in a small group. I did not assign the groups. You have to self-organize. If you have a group is just 3 people or more. And what you're going to do is pick 2 books from this list on the collaborative equity and literacy learning. You can go to our school library. They have a ton of them. You can go to your own town library and find books. But the point is to find children's literature books about cultures who are usually underrepresented in children's literature. And you can then meet face to face as a class. You could use text messages to talk about what you're reading. You can use the direct messages in Slack. You just put all 5 of you in one channel and talk about that way. You can even make your own channel in Slack if you want to share what you guys are talking about with the entire class. It doesn't have to be direct messages. You can do it by email. Whatever it is, you need to get together, talk about the books that you pick a book, talk about it as you read together, and then just publish your thinking on that book. It's a little bit harder. It takes some planning. You have about a solid week to get it done. So you might want to have your group set by Friday so you can have your books picked and taken care of by Sunday, and then have them read and discussed by Wednesday. If you have any questions, just let me know.